Sitting under the mystic tree, you radiate. The Lord of all illuminate the vibrant silence around. You can feel it alive. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. All I want is just to see Namah Shivaya, reality as it is. Namah Shivaya, KAILASA above it all, above it all. Namah Shivaya, more than a dream. Eternal bliss rushes inside of me.
Oneness. The moment it is initiated, if the third eye is penetrated by the oneness, it acts as telescope and microscope together for cosmos, Brahmanda, what is out there. So if you want to understand and manifest the powers, want to experience KAILASA, hold my hand and come along with me. It means sit with integrity and listen and come along with me. I'll take you to KAILASA now.
Understand. Program starts but never ends, and it is never the same again. Actually not a program, it's a lifestyle initiation. It is just upgrading your consciousness, your being. Bring intense sincerity, sincere intensity into this program. Instead of sitting with your depressions, sit with me, Paramashiva. I welcome all of you to register by going to paramashivoham.org. And even if you have attended already any program, please go through once more intensely, sincerely, intensely, because it is going to be absolutely new and different level. I commit with you all. I will initiate all of you, bless you all with the Shakti Pada, Shakti Pada, and Paramashiva myself.
The Bhagavad Gita, one of the most treasured scriptures inside Hinduism, given by Bhagavan himself, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, is one of the most sought out scriptures and quoted scriptures by many people, even in the modern day. But the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has given the most modern, life-positive and powerful commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, known as the Bhagavad Gita Decoded. We can't even say that it is a commentary. Literally from the very space of Parabrahma Krishna, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given the very state of Parandhama, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, to all of us through this beautiful book known as the Bhagavad Gita Decoded. Today, we're going to be looking into more of what the Supreme Pontiff has really told us about Krishna and how Bhagavan Sri Krishna lived an extraordinary life of a tyagi, something that people may not even know about today. But the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is shedding light on the real life of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, how he was such a tyagi, and how the Gita is the Prasthanatraya, one of the most profound scriptures that we in fact are studying through the Chaturmasya. So let us get started with the Sadguru Vandanam and begin our discussion today. Nithyanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam, Welcome to the Nithyananda Rudra show. I am Sri Rajananda Maharaj, and we are going to be joined with Sri Nithyananda Maharaj, and we're going to get to know more about what the Bhagavad Gita entails. So first, we want to take a short time right now just to see the way that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, every time he begins speaking about Krishna, speaking about Bhagavad Gita, how you can just see in his eyes, in his expression, how he is just so much a devotee, a bhakta, a Krishna bhakta himself, seeing the glory of, singing the glory of Sri Krishna. We have never seen anyone else do it in such a profound way, and it's something that you don't want to miss. So let us take a look at a short clip where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is sharing about the tremendous sacrifice of Bhagavan Sri Krishna.
Do not be liberal in your reactions. It is not cute. It is not the measurement of your freedom. Understand, all of us deeply believe our capacity to react is our freedom. No. You will tighten the noose around your neck and you claim it is a freedom. Be conservative in your reactions every time. And I tell you, man who is conservative in his reactions knows where to depute his resources to wage the war. Life is Kurukshetra. Duryodhana's reactions were liberal. That is why even with 11 Akshoni Sena, he was not able to conquer just 7 Akshoni Sena. Understand, the whole Mahabharata war was between 11 Akshoni and 7 Akshoni. Pandavas were 7, totally 18 Akshoni. Gaurava's side was 11. 11 and 7. Some of the Bharatam's Mahabharata narrations describes as 10 verses 8, but Vyasa makes it very clear it is 11 verses 7. 7-11, maybe started there only. It was 7-11, not 8-10. Listen, life is Mahabharata. You are in Kurukshetra. If your reactions are liberal, you are Duryodhana. Even the larger resources will be destroyed. If your actions are liberal, you are Krishna. Small resources are enough to finish off. Bhishma Pitamaga. Ichha Mrityu. Yeah. Transgender girl. Bhishma Pitamaga. Ichha Mrityu. See the mutation Krishna is doing. Ichha Mrityu is the extreme capacity of the physiological power. Transgender girl means the lowest powerlessness of the physiological reality. The worst powerlessness of the physiological reality and the highest powerfulness of the physiological reality. But Krishna's liberalness in action and conservativeness in reaction makes it mute each other. See the mutation happening. The lowest powerlessness muting the highest powerfulness of the physiology. Then comes Drona. Psychology is vengeance, highest powerfulness of the psychology is ability to use the cosmic power by will, Brahmastra. Understand? Just through the power of the will, you don't even need a grass, your sound is enough, you can finish up the universe. Drona not only knows Brahmastra, who taught the science of Brahmastra to the universe. There's no one who taught the science of Brahmastra to so many other than Drona. In record, even Parasurama taught only to 2. Drona taught to 18, 1-8 people received the Brahmastra from Drona, means highest psychological reality powerfulness is muted by whom? Drishtadyumna. The lowest psychological powerlessness is vengeance. The worst powerlessness is being used to mute the best powerfulness, because the guy who is sitting is liberal in his actions and very conservative in his reactions. When Bhishma, Drona, Salya, Karna, all of them are in the front. The same scene was seen by Krishna and Arjuna. Krishna was liberal in his action and conservative in his reaction. Arjuna was liberal in his reaction and conservative in his action. That is Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the first chapter of the Gita. Arjuna was liberal in his reaction. He says, my hands are shivering. And I tell you, strongest physiology is bisexual physiology. Arjuna is bisexual. A bisexual man can never be shaken. Arjuna is bisexual. He is physically describing what is happening to him. Shivering, sweating, tongue is dry, mouth is dry. In his reactions, he was liberal. In his actions, he was conservative. That's why my Gandiva is falling from my hand. Hey, which you held for your whole life, which is almost extension of you, like your right hand and left hand. He's saying, my hands are falling out of my shoulders. Understand? I can explain the whole Mahabharata, how this one liberal action and conservative reaction, just that with that one quality, Krishna played the whole drama and won the Kurukshetra war. Sometimes he lost the battle but never lost the war. Yes, in Abhimanyu's issue, they lost the battle. Krishna did shed tears, understand? Because Krishna's one of the important wishes. He wants this whole Bharat to be ruled by his DNA. And he wanted his DNA to be the source of Bharat, which is the right decision, which is the right thing. So it is through Abhimanyu it is going to happen. When Abhimanyu died, He had tears. But fortunately, already Abhimanyu's wife was pregnant. So he won the war but lost the battle. He would have produced few more kids and managed the country in a much better way. In Abhimanyu's issue, Krishna lost the battle. Abhimanyu's issue was not just Arjuna's son. It was Krishna's ambition too. It is through Abhimanyu, Krishna was getting the best DNAs collected, the best Kshatriya and Krishna's intelligence. The Yadava, understand? It is Kshatriyas, Yadavas together formed Bharata, and the whole Bharat is ruled by Kshatriya Yadava DNA. You see the Parikshitu and Dhananjaya and the whole. The original DNA is the perfection is achieved in Parikshitu. That is why I tell you, we can never be destroyed. Because Parikshitu has built the tendency even to withstand the Brahmastra. Understand? Bharat can never be killed. Bharat can never be killed because the whole DNA process itself went through the Brahmastra attack. Of course, don't be lazy for that. But I want to tell you the truth, it cannot be killed. Because the DNA itself has gone through the test. If you know Mahabharata, you can understand what I am saying. Yes, sometime Krishna lost the battle, but never the war. Be conservative in your reactions. Be liberal in your actions.
That was a beautiful way that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has shared about the strategy of Bhagavan Krishna and how it was the ultimate strategy. He was able to use the most, maybe something that you may even consider as a disadvantage, as a powerful advantage against the most formidable opponents in the Mahabharata. And that is the divine strategist that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is. And whenever the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism opens up about Bhagavan Sri Krishna, especially if you even read the first few pages of the Bhagavad Gita decoded, you'll just see how much in love with Krishna the Swamiji is. You'll just see how much he's just always taking example, always finding that Krishna has a solution for him in his life. Especially if you see how Bhagavad Gita has played a role again and again in our life and in the way that we learn things in our life, we'll see that when we go back to Bhagavad Gita, especially when we do the Chaturmasya Vrata and go back every year for 4 months, we study the Bhagavad Gita and learn its teachings. This is actually something that is profoundly there in Hinduism as a practice of really going back to the scriptures and finding ourselves again and again and establishing strongly enlightenment as our lifestyle. And that is done as a practice itself in Hinduism known as Chaturmasya. 4 months are done for a deep study of the revelations that have come Vedas, known as in the Prasthanatraya, specific Beautifully, we're also having Shri Jnanatmananda here with us, and he's also going to be sharing a little bit about what he has been able to absorb from the Bhagavad Gita decoded himself, and also anything else you would like to share about how anything that he has seen, especially from how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shared how you should be. And we can ask even Jnanatma Maharaj, what is it that is the difference between the
especially as we hear now in Chaturmasya, that there's a spiritual rejuvenating process from now until Vijayadashami in October 24th. And so, like Swamiji just shared here, we often think the reaction is our freedom. Like, hey, it's just my reaction. Someone did something wrong, I reacted violently. That is my freedom. So this is one of the things to, and experiences to be aware of. Well, as Maharaj, as you're telling, that what's the difference between action and reaction?
Yeah.
And so many times, our reaction comes as a reaction to some sort of external input or influence. And so often it's an unconscious emotional reaction. And so it's not something we consciously planned as, as something we want to create or something we want to do. But we're frequently very prepared to blame external circumstances for our actions. So it definitely is one of the beautiful freeing practices that Swamiji has given, to just be aware of your reactions rather than having them control you. And this time of Chaturmasya is the perfect time to make a commitment to yourself that I will be liberal in my plans for my actions of what I want to create, and my unconscious reactions that continuously bind me and others in my unconscious patterns, I will be more aware of them and listen to them more, instead of expressing them without awareness and having them manipulate me continuously.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you for sharing. That is actually very true, and how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism even explains what is a reaction. It is something that is absolutely unconscious. It is something that it's like a knee-jerk reaction just to something that is something that you just usually do. And this beautiful period of Chaturmasya, we take the time to do the proper techniques, the lifestyle and the routine, doing a more practice of the yoga sincerely, reading the scriptures and implementing them into our lives. These are more ways that we practice this way of coming out of our reactionary nature and embracing the conscious way of looking at our life and planning it out and making the decisions very consciously for life also. And that is the strategy that Bhagavan Sri Krishna had, and that is what makes the Mahabharata story one of the most heroic and greatest sacrifice stories that you would have ever heard, just because of this one attitude that Bhagavan Sri Krishna had to be very conservative in his reactions. It's not like he didn't have any reactions. In fact, there is a point even in the war where he just gets up, not able to make the Bhishma be defeated. He picks up a wheel of the chariot and it takes it towards Bhishma and says, I will end you right now if you don't surrender. And like this, of course, Bhishma is ready to surrender in that moment, but Arjuna calls him Krishna back and says, let us come back to our strategy. We will use the strategy of conscious action, of being absolutely liberal in everything that we do as an action, because only when you have the smallest resources, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is sharing beautifully that just having less amount of army, 7 crore army, the Pandava army was able to take over the bigger army, and that is some of the greatest ways of how this is a beautiful story to be told. And in fact, if you want to know a little bit about the Hindu history, the Hindu kings also had this same kind of a dilemma where they had less army against hordes of invaders, and they just had to really strategize and really use the same kind of technique of conscious decision making that Bhagavan Sri Krishna beautifully exemplified inside the Bhagavad Gita, as well as the Mahabharata war itself. So the Bhagavad Gita also, people are taking the example of Bhagavad Gita and using it to really govern their lives as far as what is the purpose of life, what is the purpose of action or involving with others and engaging in life, what is death, what is the purpose, what is consciousness, and what is the whole cosmos itself, and how do I relate with it, and finally what is the way to even cognize all the relationship between all of these three, which is the Ishvara, Jagat, and the individual, the God himself or the consciousness, how it relates with the world and how it relates with me. This answer to these fundamental questions of what these three are, Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavan Sri Krishna beautifully explains what it is. And here we have a question from one of the commentators. He's asking, what was the greatest sacrifice Krishna did in the Mahabharata? And another person is asking, Pietri is asking, how does Krishna doing an action like engage in relationships differ from the way or doing in the same action? So yeah, these are very good questions, and in fact I think the question should be answered by Swamiji himself. And the next clip we have the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism sharing about these two answers directly. What is the greatest sacrifice of Krishna, and how his actions were wrongly interpreted, and how all of his actions were actually something powerful, empowering everyone who came in front of him. So we'll just take a look at that clip.
Multiple reasons incarnations happen. Krishna avatar, for example. If you see the time Krishna happened, too much of destructive weapons, destructive powers have been piled up. Like now, all the countries have piled up the atomic weapons enough to wipe the whole planet Earth 700 times. 700 times you can wipe the whole planet Earth. So much of atomic weapons are already piled up by all the countries put together. The time Mahabharata happened was exactly like this. Any one cranky guy can have an access to weapons like a Brahmastra and finish off the whole Srishti. The whole Srishti can be, whole creation can be lost. Krishna has to come and clean up all the weapons and the signs of those powers, because it has become too much, too easily available. Too easily available for the people who are not matured or who are not bothered about the Srishti. This Dronacharya's son, Aswathama, just because his friends have died, he got angry and he was ready to use the Brahmastra and destroy the whole creation. God, what a selfish dog. Krishna curses him with Chiranjivitva. Understand, immortality can be a curse if you are not able to handle yourself, if you are not psychologically capable. Immortality can be curse. 7 people achieved Chiranjivitva. For one, Ashwathama alone, it was given as a curse. He's still somewhere, but curse. Oppa. Understand, long life is not always blessing. Only if you know how to handle yourself, long life is a blessing. Understand, the time Krishna happened, if you study thoroughly, too much of weapon and astra shastra vidyas available too easily for the people who don't have maturity to have the larger vision of protecting Srishti. Fools like Ashwatthama started having the powers of Brahmastra. Dronacharya's one pattern of attachment to son has destroyed himself, and so much of negativity was caused. Listen carefully. Krishna has to happen to a controlled condition where Srishti will not be destroyed. Only the people with violence and wanted to use all the Shastra powers for their selfishness and vested interests and evil designs, only they need to be destroyed. So he collected all of them in the Kurukshetra and finished them off. I tell you, the ultimate compassionate act done to the planet Earth is Kurukshetra war. Because of this war, Krishna gave up even the so-called good name and brand. Understand? Till now, everyone blames Krishna for this Kurukshetra war. But you don't know, that's the greatest sacrifice Krishna did to save the planet Earth. If Kurukshetra was not conducted at that time, under the controlled conditions and direct supervision of Krishna, planet Earth would have lived more than 3 years. Within 3 years, war would have erupted in a small packets and different corners, and the whole planet Earth would have been wiped due to large availability of Astra-Shastras like Brahmastra, atomic weapons, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons. The widespread availability of the Astra-Shastras without Shastra, without the knowledge and vision, was posing a huge threat to the whole humanity and planet Earth and for life itself. So Krishna has to sacrifice his good name. He was ready. He's a tyaga-raja, I tell you. As Kalida Brahmachari, tyaga-raja, Jagat Guru, who was ready to sacrifice his good name, who was ready to be blamed by the historians. I tell you, if Krishna has not conducted destruction of the mass destruction weapons like Brahmastra, Agniastra, the atomic weapons and chemical weapons available those days, biological warfare weapons available in those days, the whole planet Earth and the life would have been destroyed within next 3 years. Understand? Still the mediocre Hindus were brainwashed. Mahabharata is just an imagination story by the anti-Hindu narratives. Poor mediocre Hindus continue to believe Ramayana and Mahabharata are fantasies. No. Fool, nobody can fantasize such brilliant, intricate, still record holding poetry epic. Understand? Even now, just by the sheer length of the epic poetry, nobody is able to break the record. Dumbo mediocre Hindus. You fools are getting brainwashed by anti-Hindu narratives and you think Mahabharata is some myth story. Fool, understand? In hundreds of years, history becomes legend. In thousands of years, legend becomes myth. Mahabharata vast history. Mahabharata war Mahabharata nothing but destroying, eliminating mass destructive weapons under the direct supervision of Sri Krishna, the greatest incarnation. The purpose of Krishna's incarnation was that multiple
Yes, beautifully the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shared how the Bhagavan Sri Krishna was able to be a beautiful strategist and the correct that only can be conceived in the mind of a incarnation. To be able to say, I can sacrifice my name and fame for just to make sure that Bhagavan Krishna is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. It is in his very nature as an incarnation to protect the Bhuloka, to protect the universe. That is the purpose of his incarnation, to protect the Bhuloka. There, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is beautifully sharing how he was able to be successful in that. Yet, doing so, he made some of the greatest sacrifices. All historians today, yes, blame him and ask even the questions some of the people in the comments are also asking. Why did he allow the Kurukshetra war to happen? How did Krishna be a human and do so much with his power, and why he didn't stop the Kurukshetra war? The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism also shares very clearly that he did everything he could to stop the war from happening. He did everything he could to make sure the war doesn't happen. Or what to do? People were absolutely enemies against each other. So he had to do the strategy to protect the world, make sure that the correct DNA goes on. Parikshitu actually is the final ascendant of both the clans of Yadava and Kuru. Parikshitu is the actual great grandson of Arjuna, and Arjuna marries a Yadava, the sister of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Subhadra, and both of them have the son Parikshitu, who after the whole Mahabharata is over is actually a single DNA that is left. And to protect that single enlightened DNA, where the enlightened DNA that was put into the world by the gods, and the DNA of Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself that is there inside Parikshitu, and that only was the DNA that was there. And the story tells us that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism actually reveals one important point, that when it comes to particularly resistance to any nuclear radiation or nuclear kind of event, we as the descendants of Bhagavan Sri Krishna will be more resilient to such dangers just because of the DNA Bhagavan Sri Krishna inserting the truth and the powerful DNA that can really be able to keep the world going, keep this Bhuloka, the whole Shrishti there. So Jnanatma Maharaj, go ahead and share your thoughts on what you, Swamiji, just shared.
Nithyananda Maharaj, thank you. So that is what, people are having a lot of beautiful comments here in the online chat. Just going to check them. One is there from, just forget if I'm getting the name out of place. So we have Gokul Prashanad is asking about the nakshatras connected with the cosmos in every human. So this is reflected in the Bhagavad Gita, in the guidance of Sri Krishna with Arjuna and this path to enlightenment. And there was another similar comment about what is the relationship from Maria Lernin. How does Krishna's and Arjuna's relationship reflect in our relationships? So this is exactly what we're seeing in the comment from Gokul Prashanad, saying the destruction and recreation under Krishna's supervision is what we have been seeing. So A lot of discussion happening in the comments here and relating to what Swamiji had revealed. And so this is exactly what we're seeing. And so we have the Dumbo neo-Hindus. And this is one of the actually something that is supposed to make us powerful. That if we ask, okay, we have 8 billion humans, and one simple mechanized farm can produce food for many thousands of people. Somehow we find ourselves in a situation with 200 countries in the world and people not having enough food. And the statistic posted yesterday on Swamiji's page, I believe, was 40% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa is living in extreme poverty. So there's no excuse for any of this. And there's not a requirement for us to accept that. So we see, as Swamiji was revealing here, the intense negativity of the humanity. The humans are the worst gang in the cosmos. But we have the possibility to come out through the relationship of the one who is already living the solution. So the sacrifice Swamiji and Lord Krishna makes is coming here. Coming here and putting himself in the middle of this and being labeled as a warmonger for a fake story and warmonger for all of history. Despite he manifesting the ultimate compassion for each one of us. We have 200 countries. And what is the declared intention of those 200 countries? None of them are declaring enlightenment or liberation for humanity. Each one is declaring how we can have our border, how we can have a military, how we can cut out a piece of the pie to keep for ourselves that we should not share for anyone else. So how do you expect the humanity to exist amongst each other? Not one single place in the whole world has the intention that the humans should reproduce the best things in the world. So this is an understanding of why Kailasa is necessary. Not a single place in the whole world is saying, hey, let's preserve the Srishti, the creation. So tons of negativity and warmongering left and right for what reasons we may or may not know, out in the open or behind closed doors. So the humanity needs that being that knows the truth and lives the truth. And even if you don't know every detail, the avatar can lead you to the right actions. So as Swamiji revealed, Arjun was very heavily liberal in his reactions, which is what we see in the humanity. Our negative reaction, blaming and lashing out at everything that happens. But he was too conservative in his actions. So if you don't know the actions to take, the avatar is here, and Lord Krishna, Swamiji, is here to tell you. So no problem, you experiment, try for a few days and see the results. So actually the humanity, the condition that we're in as the negative violent reactions of the humanity is predominant on the planet. And so the Hindus and all the young people out there, if you're feeling that, oh, because there's so many difficulties, and because I'm encountering the difficulties, and because I am encountering the challenges, that is a reason that I should not try. Actually, it's the opposite. Seeing so much difficulties and need on planet Earth should be a powerful motivation for us to continue to grow and cooperate with the path of enlightenment that we don't necessarily need to know. But
yes. Actually, Maharaj, when you say,
and otherwise, giving clear actions that we can take and have these experiences as is continuing to be shared in the chat. So thank you everyone for your participations.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj, thank you for sharing. And you were pointing out one beautiful thing, that it is a time to see the world and not to put up the walls and put up the differences and say that you are different from me, I am different from you. But I would say that taking the example of how the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself is just helping us create this Kailasa, doing the ultimate tyaga. So I think we should look up to those who have done the tyaga, the sacrifice. Is it worth having to put up wars and put up the walls all around us just to be able to keep a name and fame going on? Isn't it a better decision to decide that we are going to live together for the better harmony of the world? Whatever name and fame that can be destroyed, let it be, because I have to protect the world, protect the Srishti. See the sacrifice in Krishna and exemplify that and do the same. And that is a beautiful way to see the tremendous sacrifice that Bhagavan Sri Krishna did. And it's not about just celebrating it, it's about really living it. And as you're sharing, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was himself sharing, let's be very liberal in our actions and be less liberal in our reactions. And this is one of the ways that you can even understand that one of the commenters is asking specifically when it comes to how it differs between the way Krishna engages with relationship and how we do it. Is it the same action? It's not the same actually. Many of our relationships, as you see, are just situationships. They're just a reaction for something maybe you're going through hormonally, or maybe that you need something from someone, something that the other person of you appeals to you and you want that more in your life. So you need that and you put that person in a situation, something that you do is the same also helps that person. So there's a kind of a mutual thing that we get from each other, and that's a situationship. It's not a real relationship, and that's all reactionary. You're reacting to whatever is going on inside you, and you're seeing that that is an object that can fulfill whatever is going on, and you'll go attain it. But that's a reaction. The way that you see, the way we differ from relating, to the way Bhagavan Sri Krishna differs from relating, he's relating from the pure space of relationship. Everyone he dealt with, whether it was the 16,000 wives that he had, whether it is Arjuna, whether it is Shikandi, whether anybody, the only way he dealt with everybody from the highest space of relationship, which is a conscious decision, which is an action, treating the other person as the highest embodiment of divinity. He dealt with every person in his life. He showed how you should deal with everybody and connect with everybody only as Paramashiva, as the highest possibility. And that is the way the incarnations come, and by example show how we should live with each other, how we should relate with each other. The same way the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continuously, tirelessly tells us we are Paramashiva, we are the highest, we are him. The state that he has experienced in oneness with everything around him is a possibility for us. And to live with that space with everyone around us is actually the real action. And that's the difference between the way the incarnations Bhagavan Sri Krishna relates with others and the way we relate with others, answering one of the questions that is there. And do you reflect in it with Swamiji's pride, or is it, we're still learning about this? This actually, most of us, the question that I think Louis Smith was presenting, do you reflect with Swamiji's pride in Mahabharata, or are you still learning about it? Actually, for all of us, Mahabharata has come in and out in our lives. For some of us who have known Mahabharata or Bhagavan Sri Krishna's story or the Bhagavad Gita, it has been something that has again and again come back and done something profound. And that is the way we even take Swamiji's teachings. Every time you may be listening to something that may be something you listen to so many times, but for today and right now, it is something profound, it is something for me. And that is the way that the real knowledge comes to you. It comes to your rescue. Literally, how Bhagavan Krishna comes to the rescue of all of those 16,000 damsels who were literally captured, and how he comes to the rescue of Draupadi, how he comes to the rescue of everyone. In that same way, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita Decoded come to your rescue, especially when we do this study in the period of Chaturmasya. In this time, whenever we will go back and look into the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita, we find there's always a new message. Even we're reading the same words, but what it's coming to us is something so much more different and profound. So yes, we are still learning. There's so much to learn. Even if you read the Bhagavad Gita and master all the verses and the chapters, still there is still something more to learn after that. And that is the profoundness with which how Bhagavad Gita becomes a timeless teaching, where beyond time, it is just for everyone and any kind of person you can be in the world. It's for you. And that is the way the Mahabharata has been able to be there for people, specifically the teachings that Bhagavan Sri Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita. So many people are even asking the location of Kailasa revealed in me. These are very important questions that people have, because the way we're feeling consciously uprooted, where we find that living these and having this kind of an ecosystem that can discuss and even make as a practice all of these things Jnanatma Maharaj was sharing. And that is something that is a breakthrough, that with other, our way of connecting with other here for enlightenment. We are an enlightenment ecosystem, and to give people the highest conscious breakthrough. And those laws and all of those are beautifully woven into the constitution. In fact, what we are studying inside the Chaturmasya is the Prasthanatraya, which is the very governing body scripture, which is the with which we will be able to create the laws and learn how we should govern ourselves dharmically. The Prasthanatraya are the preamble to the whole constitution of Kailasa, which is the Vedagamas itself, the whole Hindu scriptures. And beautifully, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is doing such a pioneering job of reviving all of these for us. And how much time did Krishna have to protect the enlightened DNA in such a pressing situation? Antoine Johnson was asking. Actually, it's a very good question. He was all alone, and he had of course, his own enlightened consciousness doing it. And how much time did Krishna have to protect? It took a lot of effort, but in that loss and tremendous sacrifice that he did, we can see that at the end, Bharat and the whole tradition of Hinduism still exists today. And as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was even sharing in one of the clips, we are able to see that if he didn't do what he did, within a few days, the whole world would have collapsed. If the wrong side won the Mahabharata war, if it was run by the wrong people, the whole world would have collapsed. And because he did the sacrifice that he did, we have this enlightened DNA in all of us, and we can really give it back to the world and really help move us forward. So this is some of the questions that we are having. Then there's another question from Lucas. Help me to understand how to be centered in the middle path and not be on the extremes of fantasy and perception. Actually, beautifully today, the Paramashivam sessions are going on. Nirvikalpa Samadhi is the theme of today. Being unclutched, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully gives a comparison. Actually, when he's discussing one of the deeper insights into Mahabharata, he shares that when Arjuna is releasing the arrows and destroying each of the enemies in Mahabharata, it is his conscious decision, it reflects in our lives as well, to practice unclutching. Unclutching from the thoughts, unclutching and going back to the space of oneness and being in the space of the witnessing consciousness is one of the highest practices that we are celebrating today in today's Paramashivam 3 program. If you want to join the program, if you want to know more about how to empower yourself with the truths that we are all discussing today and how to make it a practical example and literally win the battle of Kurukshetra that we are seeing today, then you should join the Paramashivam sessions where you're learning the tools and techniques, specifically Nirvikalpa Samadhi, living in a space of being unclutched, and how you can use that as a tool. And to answer this question by Lucas, it is this simple practice of unclutching where you can just be an observer and not be pulled to one extreme or the other of what is going on inside of you. And that is one of the powerful techniques that the Supreme Pontiff. Then when I connect to higher lokas, taking immediate action on Swamiji's words. So I just delve into the Pontiff of Hinduism. Actually, when it comes to taking yourself to higher lokas and traveling the higher lokas, conscious action is actually the key. It actually is the tool to move yourself into the higher lokas. And one more question. What Krishna did in the Mahabharata as an incarnation is Swamiji doing here something like that, similar to saving humanity from the World War III developing. I think the beautiful message the Supreme Pontiff has given again and again is to really encouraging all of us to come together. As Jnanatma Maharaj was sharing, there is so much of resources available already to take care of animosity and hatred towards each other. Let's work together to really use all of these resources and make sure that we are really helping everyone. As example, in fact, how he was able to, even though there was hundreds of thousands of characters in Mahabharata, how he was able to give a personal touch to each and every person and let them and bring out the highest expression of enlightenment from them. Everyone he was able to touch, he liberated them, literally. And taking that as an example, we can really see those truths, and how to live those truths are just there inside the Bhagavad Gita. Each and every verse beautifully describes how someone can empower themselves to really help the world be a better place for everyone. And those ideas of the karma yoga, of how you connect with the wealth you have, how you connect with the actions that you do, and what is the purpose of the work that you do, all of these truths are revealed inside the Bhagavad Gita, and they give a beautiful sense. And many people today are finding solace in the Bhagavad Gita verses, giving them a clear understanding on the purpose of life, the purpose of connecting, the importance of connecting with the consciousness in our life, understanding we are that very consciousness, and that is very important to embrace. And beautifully, we can take this beautiful time, especially when Chaturmasya starts. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has already blessed all of us to start spreading Bhagavad Gita everywhere. Take the Bhagavad Gita book and go everywhere. You can go to the paramashivamorg and see under the digital gifts, you'll see the Bhagavad Gita decoded book there. You can take the book, read it yourself, share it with as many people as possible. It is the real way to really spread the real peace in the world, to really prevent any kind of the nonsensical warned marketing or violence based understandings, and really embrace peace. And then more people are asking questions. Thank you for all of your questions and your involvement. Actually, this is helping us really understand the whole discussion, and making us be able to bring the truths that Swamiji is reviving in Kailasa to all of you in a way that all of you can understand. So Jnanatma Maharaj, do you have anything to share more about the questions that people are asking, or about Bhagavad Gita? Another member is asking, the earnestness of Bhagavan was incredible, and yet he maintained balance and composure. Yes, the balance and composure was there in his expression, but surely the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism also shared how he actually shed tears. He was literally the human that we all are when it comes to feeling. That's why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully shares.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in the chat who has been participating and sharing your understandings. Nityananda, Ashish Rana, Pietri Kononov.
Member is asking the earnestness of Maharaj is listening to a delayed feed, but yes, Maharaj, thank you, embracing everyone. I hope I got to everyone's question here. You're addressing some of the questions here. If you are seeing some of the questions that we are not able to, I don't want to miss anybody's interaction. Beautifully, we are having interaction today. So earnestness, yes, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shed light on the fact that Krishna was in fact integrated to love, integrated to contributing to others, giving people the experience, giving people an understanding about how much an incarnation can be there for you. And when you take the example of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, you will see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism take his example every time, even in the way that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism just puts himself out there for everyone. If you come to the Paramashivam program right now, you'll be able to see how he's responding to every single person who's coming and asking any simple prayer, from healing their pet to healing their life patterns itself, whatever it may be. Every single question, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is here extending himself and sharing that he is available, just in that same compassionate way that Bhagavan Sri Krishna has shown. Just being in that same way, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is leading by example today, giving that that closeness that Bhagavan Sri Krishna was able to give everyone. That is something that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism celebrates so much. When he said one thing was profound, that makes a really big difference in many of our lives, is that Bhagavan Sri Krishna is not great because of the great things that he did. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is great because of the amount he was able to incarnate. Incarnation is not decided on the great things that he can do. The greatness of an incarnation is decided on how much he can incarnate to our level and make us understand in every way possible we can to relate with us, to give us the kind listening, and in our words itself, give us enlightenment. And that is something that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself is personally sharing with everyone who is coming to the Paramashivam program sessions. And you can take this opportunity. This is a $21,000 program, and it's absolutely free for those who want to start their Chaturmasya now. You can just go to the link that is being presented before you and just be in the sessions for Paramashivam. Beautiful, because every night there is a darshan where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism comes, addresses all of our prayers, blesses us. In that moment, of course, it's a beautiful time to be there, but to prepare yourself to have that darshan, to prepare yourself to really receive and ask the right things, to manifest the right things in our lives, these sessions are so profound and important for you. The processes are so important. So take a participation in the program, and at around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the darshan will be happening today. Powerful darshan of Paramashiva will be there today, and we are going to be seeing the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism answer each and every one of us. And it's something that you can get everyone involved. Someone who you know needs to, maybe wants to enter into a meditation technique in their life, or they're struggling with their life, or need to start some kind of a meditation practice. The sessions today are specifically about really starting the practice of samadhi, literally sitting and doing meditation, and how that works. All of those are being explained in the sessions, so don't miss the point. And we have some of the commenters saying, feeling so blessed to recognize the incarnation of our time, who is revealing all of these truths. I look at Swamiji like he's our Krishna. And yes, beautifully sharing some of the sacred sentiments that we also carry, how from the Balakrishna to the Bhagavad Gita Krishna, we're able to see the same in the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. And anything else, Jnanatma Maharaj, I think you got your audio fixed. If you can share any of your thoughts.
So one of the aspects is that people, so thank you to everyone you're sharing. Marwa is there, Gokul, thank you, Nityanandam, Dr. Yashrati, Nityanandam, Maria. Thank you everyone for your sharings. And we've addressed about everyone to this point. And thank you for sharing your comments on other contributors there also. One thing for all of us to understand is it's really by definition what you feel, what you're very sure is impossible, by definition is possible, because you will have put yourself into a cognition. You will define something very clearly that has limitations, and you will be very clear that visualization or that idea or that understanding is impossible. So just to have the remembrance that any idea I have of something, an aspect of my life or reality in my life that I feel is impossible, that means there is something beyond it, because I've already decided to define something as limited. So what people really need to know and share about is that you can completely transform your entire life in just 21 days. So Swamiji has given this opportunity, 16 hours a day, you can be there for the full program. Everyone has been sharing how you may have doubts, you may have struggles, and Lucas in the chat there has been sharing about the importance to do the Brahma Muhurta morning routines with the yoga and puja, and that in itself is spiritual practice, a way of waging this Mahabharat of your enlightenment against the forces of our negative patterns. So you can manifest a life that you feel is impossible. It can change. It can change. So we're stuck in impossibilities. We've been stuck in patterns, and we've decided that this is the way our life has to be. But even though things in our life are changing every day, and things are changing every week, and our relationships change and grow and mutate, 21 days with the avatar, full days with the yoga and puja sessions is something you could never imagine what impact it would have. So if you are willing to recognize the possibility that you can transform, in this 21 days, you can manifest any reality you want. So as was shared by the participants yesterday, even if you're having doubts, the recommendation is get yourself in the program for the entire day, and allow yourself the possibility to experience something new. So this is something that people really need to give themselves an opportunity to recognize, that the quality of my life is very important. I've been living a number of years with these cognitions and these patterns and reproducing the same issues in my life again and again. And not knowing, even though I may have tried many times to change things or reinvent myself, I've always fallen back. So take that load off and just allow yourself to not have the negative reactions that are constantly destroying every possibility before you even take action on it. So this is one thing I'd like to share, Maharaj. This 21-day blessing is here for everyone. Completely, you can change anything you want. You all need to know, you can change any aspect you want. You have 21 days. It can and will and always does happen. Any intention you have, any reality you have, you want to manifest, you don't have to do anything. Just get on the train, and Swamiji will take you there. So this really, everyone, you have to know the possibility is here for you now.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you for sharing. Actually, when it comes to some of the questions, actually, I have missed. Now, we are seeing that some people are asking how to connect to the parallel universe and how to go and travel the parallel universes. That is exclusively inside the Paramashivam program, so we'll keep the secret inside the program. You can go and experience and understand how to even travel this multiverse. And some also are asking, what is the relationship between Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna and how it reflects in our life? Actually, that is a very relationship that we have with Guru. Bhagavan Sri Krishna ultimately, though being a beautiful friend to Arjuna, was also his guru, really guiding him in life. And actually, in that same beautiful way, it's known in Hinduism as Sakhabhava. The same relationship that Arjuna had with Krishna, you can have also with an incarnation today. That beautiful friendliness and ability to able to be free and leisure with someone, especially when coming to teaching the highest truths. That is something that everybody can experience, especially if you just see the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism address all of these kind of topics inside the Bhagavad Gita decoded. You'll just be seeing how he's just working on you as a friend inside your life. That's one of the beautiful things. You really experience the presence of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in your life after reading Bhagavad Gita decoded as a friend, as a Krishna in your life. And there's so many other questions that people are asking. We're going to be having a few more sessions today on the Nithyananda TV Rudra show. You can all join, ask again, join us up again. Anything more you have thought about or a discussion you had, you want to come back and get to know more about, get to learn about Hinduism. This is the space for you. This is a time for you to be able to learn. So welcoming all of you in this, especially in this Chaturmasya time. We'll be having another session in a few hours, and right before the darshan tonight also we will be having another session where you can also come and get yourself ready for the darshan. Of course, the best way to get yourself ready is being inside the Paramashivam program right now. So if you've not done so already, go to the link that is there, paramashivam.org, register yourself and be seated in one of the Zoom rooms for the program. And finally, for the darshan this evening. So thank you for the beautiful ending of today's session. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavat Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam.
I bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest the powers of Mahasadashiva. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam. Om Nithyananda Paramashivam.
surrender, Nithyananda, eternal bliss of the self. I'm breathing alive. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Under the light of your blissful sight, you set my heart on fire.